Hello and welcome to episode 24 of the Austin Downbeat. I am Kat, your host. You can follow me on Instagram at Kat is on the radio, as well as the show at Austin Downbeat on Instagram. Would love your support and love your follows. Let's start this episode how we normally do, and that's with the rundown for this week, which is August 2nd through August 8th. Lots to cover tonight. August 2nd, Rosie Flores is at the Continental Gallery upstairs. Tomorrow night on the 3rd, Bob Schneider is at the Pershing, was just there at the Pershing the other night, and I love it. Thursday, August 4th, a lot going on, so listen up. David Gray at ACL Live, Zach Person at Antone's, Chief Cleopatra is at Cheer Up Charlie's, Primo the Alien is at the Empire Control Room, Jane Leo is at Cheer Up Charlie's. Friday, August 5th, the Big Gun Show is at Little Longhorn Saloon. Dave Scher is at Come and Take It Live. Coin is at Stubbs, and Buffalo Hunt is at the O4 Center. Saturday, August 6th, the Irons are at the Empire Control Room, and Leon Bridges is at the Moody Center. Monday, you know I love some Monday Night Supper Club. Pat Byrne, Ben Jones, Barbara Nesbitt, El Mercado South, such a fun thing. I know Pat's in Ireland, so I'm not sure who's going to be replacing Pat on Monday night, but I'm assuming someone probably will. Also Monday night, Dawes is at ACL Live, and Dale Watson is at the Continental Club. So that does it for the rundown for the week. Also, always check bands in town. That's what I do. That it's a great resource for finding out who is playing where in the greater Austin area and everywhere, actually. Okay, so my guest today is one of those people where I'm not really sure how we got connected, but we did, and I'm super glad we did. Alex Chod is, well, he's many things, but I think probably what sums him up best is he is captain of the ship. He is the mastermind behind the band YATTE, which does 80s style synth yacht rock. It's the best way to describe it. And I will tell you, as an 80s kid, it stirs up so much nostalgia while also being fresh and new and having his fingerprint on it. It's fantastic music. I love it. Kind of, as he says, makes you feel like you're, you know, in a rental car on vacation mode, vacation vibes. But we have a long conversation, and it's one that went by really fast because I loved listening to how he approaches what he does. And gosh, he's just pure talent. So I think you're going to enjoy it. He's sitting in his studio during this conversation, and all I could think was, I just want to shrink down and go through the internets and be in the same room with him, because he just has this really awesome energy about him. So big shout out to Alex, and thanks to him for joining and spending some time with me. It was great to get to know him. Super creative guy and sweet. And to have a 30-something-year-old dipping down into a genre that he wasn't necessarily a big part of as a kid is really cool too, because it makes it fresh. It really does. So he manages to do that. But after talking to him, I'm not really surprised, because he's just very talented. So without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with Alex Chod from YATTE, and please give them a follow. YATTE is YATTE. They are on Instagram, and he has a new song that just came out the midnight of the night we spoke. So it's been out for a couple weeks now. It's called She's in Love Again. So be sure to check them out. Follow them on Spotify. Play their music. They're fantastic. And so many artists contribute to each track. He's really, really big on collaboration. And that's also something that I love about him. So we get a shout out to Johnny Gowdy in this episode, and so much good stuff. So please enjoy my conversation with Alex Chod from YATTE. All right. Well, welcome to the show, Alex Chod of YATTE, captain of YATTE.
There you go. Yes. You read the right thing on the internet that says how I think it should go. I don't even know where I hid that.
I love it. I've been really looking forward to talking to you. And like I told
Like,
you a little bit before the show, I have been listening to your music over the time that the weeks and actually months probably that we've been chatting on email, but then especially today, just to kind of get it all really in there and deep. And I have to say, I love what you do, and I have a lot of questions about it. It to me, one of the things that I like is that, and I don't know how old you are, but I dig that like a young guy is bringing back or is creating this genre that he's not the avatar to.
I was alive. I was alive for some of it, I'll say.
Yeah.
I was alive for some of what I'm doing.
Yeah. So educate all of us on yacht rock. Obviously, YATTE is, tell us a little bit about the name, obviously how that plays into the genre, and give us the spiel.
Okay. Well, I only call it yacht rock because that was kind of my idea at the very beginning, like when I made the first couple songs. And I feel like it's stayed close enough to where I can keep calling it that. It's more of like I don't know what else to call it, and that's a fun phrase, so I'll just keep doing it. And it gives my stuff seems to give people kind of like vacation vibes or something, or like driving in a rented car vibe. So I'll keep going. But so YATTE is, I love telling this story because it's so stupid. But me and my guitar player friend, who I make a lot of songs with, we to kind of pass the time in our old bands, we kind of just would text each other this nonsense language to each other where we misspell everything. And it's so dumb. And then, sometimes the rest of the band would catch on and sometimes they wouldn't. And we were just the two idiots in the corner, like just texting each other. Like, we can't understand what you guys are talking about. And we're like, yes, that's what's great about it. But one day I texted the band. This was the band Mid-Century, by the way. I texted the band. I was like, hey, I'm at Starbucks. Does anybody want coffee before rehearsal? And Paul says, I'll have one Bonilla YATTE, like vanilla latte. And then it was so dumb. Hold on, I got to turn my mic down the tiniest bit. I see it clipping. So we just kept using that word for everything because we thought it was a funny sounding word, which we still do stuff like this to this day after 3 or 4 years. And then we were trying to come up with a name, and it's like, should we call it like, I don't know, like Outer Space Puppies or something? We're like, nah, it's stupid. And then just one day I was just like, oh, I know what we should call it, because I want to do like kind of yacht rock music, and also kind of like, you're not sure what country it's from. And like, it kind of sounds like an old like 80s electronics company that doesn't exist anymore, but you think it might've existed. It was like, that's the name YATTE. And everyone was kind of like, yeah, okay. Yeah. I see it. And I was like, it's good enough, because choosing a name is annoying. And I Googled it and no one had taken it. No one at all had taken it. And no one took the URL. But then I also learned that in Japanese, it's kind of like a fragment of a word that means like to do, or like to do something well, or like a command to do and to be. It's like so basic that it reminded me of the band Yes, which I'm a huge fan of. Just like the simplest idea for a name that could mean so much stuff. I was like, all right, that's it. And that's the story on that.
I love that. And so are you kind of an 80s kid or 90s? I don't know how old you are. Where does the...
I'm 35, so 86.
Okay.
And, I was around for some of this, but I didn't really know about music until Green Day, so a little later.
Well, that's a good influence too.
Yeah.
So what was it about the sound? I feel like I'm listening to your music, and one of the things I wrote down is like, it just sounds like it's fun to create what you're creating. Like, I almost want to come over and sit and watch you create it, because it feels like...
Got that chair.
I know, I want to sit right there in that cool chair and just watch you, because like, it just feels like you're having fun and playing around, and I can feel the creativity in your imagination. Is that what it's like creating it, or what's that process like?
I'm so happy you said, like, I'm happy you like picked that up from it, because that's kind of what I was wishing for,
Yeah.
It is fun. It is like, this is all based on fun. So, but luckily I've got enough like drive to like just keep freaking going no matter what happens.
Yeah.
And make sure it's fun the whole time. Because past bands I was in, it kind of lacked fun, not because like making the music was fun, but there's so many parts of it, like trying to arrange a schedule. I mean, trying to arrange a rehearsal before a show. It's like, and we're all in our 30s now, or me and most of my friends that play music, and it's just like that is. I'll get into that stuff later, but that's kind of also what made this band real. But I'm trying to remember some stuff you said a few things back. As far as like the sound and stuff,
Yeah, having fun doing it.
yeah, it's fun. And I don't know, I used to make like all 70s sounding music, and then I'm getting sweaty. I'm so excited. And I'm right by a window and it's a million degrees, but yeah, I used to make 70s music and then kind of wore my brain out on that. And then I was like, well, do I make like modern music? And then I heard modern music around that time and I was like, nope. It was like Kesha and stuff. Which fine, you know, different strokes, but it wasn't for me. And then I burned a CD of Tears for Fears because like I'd heard they were so good.
Yeah.
And I remembered them kind of from, you know, when I was a kid and stuff. And then I put it on in my car and I was delivery driving. So I just had it on loop and I was just like, this is it. Like, this is it. Like, this is what I want to do. And that's kind of, it's been like a decade of that about. And then the other thing is this modern stuff is what it is. But whenever I'd go visit my parents and they'd listen to the same old stuff from when I was like, you know, 5, and when they were still listening to it from their college, you know, and then I heard that stuff and I'm like, this is so much better. Like this has everything. And I know it's just personal, but
I think that's factual. Yeah. I'm born in 76. So I'm 10 years, you know, behind you.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, like, I mean, I don't think it's actually opinion. I think it really, the music was really, really, there was something really special about it. You know, I mean, because think about it, when we talk about in this day and age, when we reference music, unless we're talking classical, we're not going way back into the early 1900s. We're going like, I mean, the earliest we're starting is what? I mean, for fashion, I go back to the 20s and 30s, but for music, are we even going
recorded
back that
music
far? No, I don't think so. So like, so these first few generations and decades of music are kind of first generation in a way, right? I've never really thought about this. It's kind of happening on the spot.
20s, 30s is like, that's when you get like the early jazz stuff. And I think that's kind of where, I mean, I've lost my whole memory of like music history, but I know it in my little pocket that I like, but big band and
swing and all that stuff. But like when the 80s came, yes, of course it has a tether to like a history, but it really, I mean, nothing sounded like that, you know? So when you say like you put in Tears for Fears and I heard that they were good. I was like, yes, of course.
Yeah.
They're so good. Do you feel like at this point that you have discovered it, kind of pretty much everyone from back then? Like, I feel like you're the type of guy who's really gone down the rabbit hole. I mean, do you feel like there's much left for you to uncover?
That's a good question. There is, but yeah, I wonder that sometimes because I kind of start drifting into like later 80s now. And I don't know. I still like it though. And other people will show me crazy stuff like from other countries around that time. My fans will show me stuff from Brazil around that time that there's no way anyone I know in person would ever have heard it, except maybe like one guy in Austin that's super into that stuff. But there's always something. But yeah, like I do always wonder, like, am I getting near the end of knowing all this stuff and knowing how to make it? But I think it makes people so happy that I'm going to just keep going on it for a while until I'm completely sick of it. Then I'll find something else to do.
Yeah. And obviously you're also blending in your own fingerprint. So where's the separation there? Like, what is the Alex kind of fingerprint on those songs? What pieces of it?
I really like, well, for one, I really like stuff that sounds like a bunch of humans came together and make like this huge thing that sounds really good. Like, you know, like session players, you know, like that's part of the thing that I think sounds better about all that stuff that we were talking about is like just all these people that have spent their whole lives getting ready to play this one role in this recording, in this recording session and get paid for it and stuff. Or like this band that has spent all these years together just, for these awesome things. And I really like that. That's why I work with, if you check the back of like my vinyls or something, you'll see like there's like 35 people on an album, just like they used to do back in the day.
Oh,
And you can't tell because I'm like kind of like the pilot or like direct. What do I say in the bio? The captain.
yeah.
So yeah, I kind of just sit here and nerd out on all these other musicians, things that they add to it, even some stuff they've written, like half of a song or more sometimes, and it just kind of filters through me. And I think a lot of musicians they seem to be like waiting to be a part of a project like this, which I'm not even bragging. Like I don't understand how that worked, but it does. And it kind of warms my heart and stuff. People will just come over, stand right there and do stuff, or people from other countries even will send in, like stems of like, and they're like, you like this? And I'm like, yeah, let me mess with it. It's like, hey, can you do something in that part? Like whatever you want. And then they'll be like, all right, I'll send that in 2 weeks. Cause I got some stuff to do. I'm like, all right, we'll talk in 2 weeks. Then I work on another song and then they send that in. And I'm like, it's so good. It's so good. Let me mess with it a lot. And they're like, please mess with it a lot. And then I send it back to them and they're like, oh my God. So that's kind of that's what this is. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like musicians have been waiting to be part of something that like appreciates exactly what they've been learning their whole life or that they've wanted to be a part of that doesn't really exist anymore.
Yeah. So what I love what you're doing. I love that. So what do you call, is it like a big think tank? Is it like a big machine? Is it just this wonderful, like cartoony kind of factory that's like made up of all these wonderful parts? I have such imagery in my mind because of what you just said, and it's so beautiful. I didn't know that, and that was kind of one of my questions was, this could very well be one guy just maestroing the heck out of every possible machine and instrument in a studio, or it could be what you just said,
Yeah. I don't usually know what to call it either. I either call it a collaboration project or Gorillas, but in the 80s, or like, because when you listen to Gorillas, you're like, I don't know. I guess, is it just Damon Albarn from Blur and he's messing around with like one other guy? And then you look at the credits and it's like, oh, the guy from someone from Talking Heads was in this. Oh, two people from Talking Heads were in this song. And who? Oh, wait, we got someone on guitar. That wasn't just a sample. Okay. And you're like, oh man, there's like, so that's kind of, and it's just people that were like maybe in the neighborhood or someone he emailed and for some of this stuff. And I'm like, that's kind of, I guess since 99 or 2000, I'm like, yeah, I want to do something like that someday. So I guess time is now.
And now you are. That is so cool. And it's just, I mean, it's one thing it's a big thing to make music the very traditional way and put it out and be living kind of your passion and your gift in that way. I'm super, always in awe of that when I talk to people, because that's great. But then also to do it the way that you're doing it just adds like another layer to it, and maybe not everyone's going to catch that, but like if and it just adds that layer of specialness, especially in a town like this, where it's like throw a rock and you hit freaking talent. That's why I haven't left. It's 100 degrees and I don't feel like leaving yet. So 107 degrees. And there's gear, like not even the player nerds. There's the gear nerds. Like usually I live like between the downtown and the south side, and like all the gear nerds are on the south side. The musicians are more spread out. But I'm glad you said all that, because I was starting to feel kind of like I forgot what this all is. I know it sounds so dramatic, but I was like, oh yeah, it's all the people that are on this stuff that I get to play with, that I get to just mess with. Because so lately I've been working on a fourth album's finished, and it's about like I've been dumping singles out. One's about to come out at midnight tonight. Oh, but really? I'm working on one right now with Paul, who's usually the guitar player on this stuff, and David, who's this kid in Albuquerque. I think he's 19 now, but I think we met on Instagram when he was 17. He plays drums. He's incredible. And we're making stuff like kind of remotely. And then we kind of hung out this winter in Albuquerque where he lives. He lives in one of like the Breaking Bad neighborhoods, by the way. So it's super cool. Like one of like the kind of like the suburby neighborhoods. Yeah. But so that was fun to kind of go around and see. We saw
Saul's office when we were there. Just
Oh,
yeah, next to a Taco Bell. But anyway, so right now, like the big idea is to make a power trio album, because I've worked with, I don't know, I think it's 35 or 36 people in just a few albums, like last time I checked. So I'm like, let's do a power trio record so we just can all like be like our favorite, like the Police or Genesis or something, and just the power trio album, like the 80s power trio album. Let's do it.
yeah.
And I've kind of forgot that there's all that other stuff that I can be doing too, or that, so maybe I'll make a sixth album underneath that one, going back to the old style.
I feel like you could.
I think I just realized that. Paul and David, we will finish our album, but I think I'm going to make a couple other ones too at the same time.
Is that coffee you're drinking? You have, can I
This is
borrow?
water, and this is the minty Fernet on ice, because it's the only light alcohol I had left, and I wanted to feel a little chill.
I like Fernet Branca, right? Fernet.
It's the minty one. It's kind of gross, but I've had it for so long, and it's the last thing I have. So I got to do it at some point, you know.
I love it. I love it. So a new album drops tonight, and people are it's already going to be out by the time this airs.
Yeah, just one song.
Okay. Oh, so just one song. Because I was going to ask you, your latest record is, am I pronouncing it right? Yeko Ameko.
Yeah. So remember the nonsense language?
Yeah.
That was just something we kept writing to each other. I don't even remember. Oh, so Paul saw a box in his office that said "Hecho en Mexico," and then he sent a picture of it, and he wrote "Yeko Ameko," like here's how to say it in our language. And I don't think I've told anyone that before, but that's how that happened. And so we just kept writing it in different ways, like with small fonts, with big fonts, like half and half. And so that's why the album art has it in a small font, like with it all stretched out. So
I just want to hang out with you. I want to shrink down and literally crawl into your brain. And I also just want to hang out with you. So much fun. So that was your last record. And then Walking on Air, that's not attached to like a full record. So is that a little teaser of what?
No, yeah, I've been putting out all the artworks that look the same, that kind of have that AI weird. That's all singles for the next record. I have that record done, but I just don't want to put it all out at once, because that's kind of the tip they give you now. So you put it all out at once, people will listen to it once and be like, that was dope, and then they'll never think about it again. So
okay, good. I sometimes I get confused, so I always talk about that and got to clarify like what the plan is. All right, so what's releasing? What's the name of it tonight?
Oh, it's She's in Love Again. That's the super retro name too. But yeah, it's so one of the times I hung out with my parents over the last, over COVID, my mom was showing me, well, I don't know, she just always has Boz Scaggs on in the car. It just always happens to come up on whether it's Sirius XM or like her phone music, or that she has on her phone. And so I was like, all right, I got to do one of these kind of songs, because it's so yacht rocky. I don't know how to explain it, but like just something kind of like a slow groove, and like they call it Blue-Eyed Soul. I don't know if that's like a problem at whatever. It's I think it was used to make fun of white people, but also it was kind of like, oh, they're kind of good though. So that was the way back in the 60s or 50s maybe. But I don't know, it has that sound to it, and I kind of mixed it up with like a Quincy Jones groove that I heard. And you'll that's probably as much as I can explain it, but yeah, it's kind of like a love story, kind of sad thing, but it's kind of groovy anyway.
I love it. Do you pull from, obviously you write everything, so you're pulling from your own life, and do you enjoy the writing piece? I mean, is it possible that you're just so talented? Like, how can you be that good at also writing and playing music? It's kind of the unicorn thing,
Well, I can't take credit of all the writing, but most of it, yes. But sometimes it's friends that write a piece of a song, and then we work on it together and all that. And then they come up with their part for the song too, because we understand, once we have like an understand. I was like, oh, you're making this kind of song, I got you. And then they write their part. So it's kind of just like a facilitator and writing most of it, but not all of it. I forgot what else you had asked.
Yeah, me too. Were you always into music? And what kind of kid were you, and are you from Austin?
I'm from St. Louis, and
Nice.
me and my little brothers, I'm oldest of three, but me and my little brothers were always super into just creativity in general. Like we all thought we were going to be different things in creativity, and my parents were like, "Yep, you guys are going to." My dad tried to like convince me to like try to figure out how to get on SNL and stuff when I was little.
Nice.
He's like, I'm like, 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 I don't know if you checked lately, Dad, but SNL is pretty bad. But I don't know. Sometimes I thought I'd make video games, and sometimes I thought I would, I don't know, do funny stuff, or I don't know. But then I think I got introduced to weed, and then when I was like 16, 17, and then it was music for sure. So I don't smoke weed anymore, but that was it. That was definitely what planted the seed. Just listening to stuff. But it was probably Pink Floyd or something too. It was like, ooh.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, well, who were you listening to at that time? Do you
A lot of musician-y stuff. Like, remember, in the 90s, if you remember, there was just tons of jam bands, like people that noodled for 6.5 minutes, and you're like, ooh, yeah, I'm stoned. Like Dave Matthews and
huge Dave Matthews fan right here. I traveled through Europe one of the times that I did, and all we had was Dave Matthews CDs, a CD player, and 2 little speakers. So we're just riding the train, sleeping in between the train, just all we had was Downbeat. I cannot listen to him to this day. Like every so often I'll be like, but if it comes on the radio, I'm like, I think I got a little too much.
Yeah, I feel that. I haven't listened I was thinking about listening to one of the Dave Matthews CDs I used to listen. It was the Crash one. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I could listen past that in the timeline, but I was like, I think I might go back to that one now that it's been like 25 years or something. Oof. Yeah. But I was like, I think I might listen to that one again for the first time, because
no choice. You got to really think about that one.
Yeah. Because that's the other thing is I don't listen to I don't listen to music that much during the day, because I know I'm just going to start trying to figure out how to make it, like how to recreate it. Yeah. And so that's why I'm really careful. I don't know. I'm just like, this is my music listening time. I will listen to something that I kind of plan on making. And because I know my brain's going to start trying to figure out which of my instruments can make that sound. And then that'll, like, I think until I stop making music, that's going to just be what it is for me now. Like, I can't just enjoy it all the way. Yeah. I just have to figure out how to make it. And that's the enjoyment now, but it's for it's for me and other people at this point. So that's cool.
Now, just a question for you, because your brain is so good at doing that, you can listen to a piece of music and you can figure out how to recreate or, break it down and do it. Does that also make it really challenging to make something that is different enough, or, I mean, is there
like original?
Yeah.
Well,
because your stuff is original. Your stuff sounds very original.
I'm glad it does.
Does it bring up things? Of course, like that, every piece of music for me brings up other music that I've heard and influences and times in my life and eras. But you do manage to make it sound original, which is really kind of crazy, given that you're wading through this pool of really hitting the notes of a genre and a real time in our culture and stuff. And so how do you do that, especially having the brain that you have, where you could, if you wanted to, just recreate it probably in 2 seconds?
I think it's just well, thank you for all that, but I think it's just an intention that I kind of had going in. It's like there's a lot of people that are maybe in their 20s now that are making this like goofy fake 80s stuff, and I think they were inspired by Stranger Things, and like, I don't know, a couple other things, but you hear that stuff and it's kind of neat, and it's I don't know, I think going in, I'm like, I want to do something that isn't like not loopy, but like goofy fake 80s, like arcade, like shopping mall, like sometimes it's even people in Russia like thinking they know what Malibu was like in the 80s, or they want, and it's just like arcade, fashion mall, and it's like, all right. And there's a whole scene of that, and they've welcomed me into it. It's called like the synthwave scene, and we get along, but yeah, I think it was just an intention where I hear other people doing it corny, and I hear people kind of doing too much copycat, like those kids that did it was like Greta Van Fleet or
Greta
whatever.
Van Fleet.
Everyone was pissed at them for doing Zeppelin. I mean, they're doing fine, I think. So even if they did, but
yeah, they get a lot of trash talk. Yeah.
Yeah, people. I don't even know what's up with them. I heard they're good. I heard like people are starting to lay off of them a little bit and say they're kind of good. But yeah, I think I was just like, I want to make something like, if it ever sounds too much like something, I'll ask someone else that I'm working on the song with, is this too?
Yeah.
I don't think so. It's like, all right. So I get people I trust. I'll ask them sometimes because yeah, there is that risk, I think.
Yeah. So this isn't the only thing that you're really into. The internets also say that you make music videos and direct music videos, right? And then you do voiceover stuff. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because one of my questions is like, how this all sounds like so much fun. And I'm also really hoping that you're able to make a good living from it. And that you're also, because that's such an important part of the conversation, I think, that deserves to be had, especially, I'm just really interested in supporting not just the industry in this town, but the community of musicians. So give me a peek behind, like, is it important that you are kind of diversifying your gifts and also doing those other two things?
I don't know if it's important. It's just what I do. Well, the music video thing was, but I have a daytime tech, remote job right now. So I can't brag and say that it's all
okay, good. So you have like the day. Okay. Yeah.
But there was a point where I was making a ton of music videos for people just before COVID. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to be able to do this full time. And then COVID, and then no one not only could they not afford music videos, there was no reason to have one. And then since COVID ended, now we're in TikTok land. So I'm kind of relearning, or like trying to figure out what is useful for people in that world. Cause it's not this way anymore. It's this way. So I'm just kind of learning that.
Oh, that's an interesting thing. I hadn't really thought about that part. You're right. It is. It's definitely turned.
So, and I'm going to experiment with that for me and David and Paul, the guy we're doing the power trio. We're flying out to Santa Barbara where Paul lives to do like a funny music video of some sort that we're going to come up with while we're there, and just challenge ourselves to come up with something stupid. But we're going to try to do it this vertical style, or at least it can't vertical. I don't know. Just vertical centered stuff and see what happens. But yeah, I was doing my own music videos for like 10, 12 years ago. And then my friends were like, can I get one? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I'll do it for free. And then more friends were like, can I do one? And I'm like, yeah, let's figure something out. And I was like, I got to charge you this time. And they're like, that's fine. And I'm like, are you sure? You promise? They're like, yeah. And then I think that's just how it goes. And then I'm like, okay, I'm charging for this. I'll give the homies a discount, and then I got a bunch more. And I can't really do the discount. There's still a discount, but the whole thing price is going up. And they're like, "That's fine, man. Like, thank you." I'm like, okay. Awesome. I guess I was like nervous that they're gonna be mad at me for charging, but especially because people don't always do. They don't have a full plan. They just want a music video because we were all alive mostly during MTV, and I think people. I'm just like waxing now, but they're like, I think people remember MTV and they're like, oh, you just need a cool music video. And it's like, a lot of the ones you're seeing was paid for by a label or someone else that had a whole plan to do with this thing and a bunch of other stuff. And it's fun to make them with folks. And it's fun all the way around. And it's great because I can get paid to do something that's already really fun and that they trust me to do. But I'd say like 50% of my clients, which are mostly all friends, but they would not have a plan in place and they would just have it out.
Yeah.
And then like, what do we do? And it's like, I don't know. Like, I didn't plan that far ahead.
I just make them.
Yeah. And so now sometimes I even turn people down if I don't think they have a plan. Cause I don't want to, I'm too like nice, I guess. Like, I don't want them to get into some like, unless they're just like have a ton of money cause they just banked at their job or something. We'll do that. But anyway, and then the voice acting, I've done voices all my life, and I don't know, just I took some classes recently, and I've always done voiceover in some regard, and so I just have been doing that now too. What website did you read all this about me? I'm trying to remember where I put this.
I actually went on to, well, when I typed in your name to try to start to do research, see, some people don't have much on them. And so you have a LinkedIn page, which I
Oh, you're
thought,
right.
yeah, so you do have it on that, which I thought that's so professional.
Yeah.
And I love your picture.
I don't even remember. I think I had to set it up to get this current job. I had to like kind of make it look nice.
Yeah,
Um,
no, it looks great. It looks really good.
and
Yeah, but so do you still have the company Left Turn Only?
yeah, I don't, that was me and a buddy started that in 2015 or something when he moved here. We'd both come here. I was in Indiana for college. We stayed there later. And then he was born and raised there. We met there, made a bunch of funny shit. And then I moved here and then I was like, dude, you got to live here. It's like way cooler than the Midwest. And then he came and visited. Oh no, he's like, no, I'm moving to LA, man. And I was like, okay, that's fair. And then he drove through on his way to LA and I think something happened to his car or I forget, but he was stuck here for a while. And he's like, yeah, this is cool and it's probably cheaper than LA. I'm gonna call my wife and have her bring the kids up and we're just gonna live here. And I was like, all right, cool. But we started that company together. It was like a post-production / production company. Did it for a few years and then he couldn't afford, we had like an office and stuff. And then he couldn't afford, like he was mostly paying for the office space. And he was like, all right, this rent's getting out of control here. Anyway, so he gave me the company and he moved back home. And then I don't know, that's my Instagram, but it's Left Turn Only and it's my email address, but I it's kind of just me as a person. I don't know. I just kept the name for the heck of it. It sounds good on an email.
Yeah, keep it going. It's a good tax
Yeah.
shelter too. Just funnel that money into the
point.
corporation.
I've been too lazy to do that government stuff. That's probably smart. I pay taxes though.
Like, should we not say that? For the record,
disclaimer, I pay taxes.
I love it. So when you were going kind of back to when you were a kid, did you always play? Was there certain instruments that you played, or I feel like you probably played everything. That's the vibe I'm getting.
I think I took piano lessons like a lot of kids. Just like even I didn't make the decision. Just my mom was like, "You're taking piano lessons," or I don't know. It's like either that or taekwondo or something. I don't know. It was piano, and I never practiced, and I didn't like practicing, and I didn't get better or anything, but I got kind of more interested. And then I learned, I was in school band, like high school, like a band class. And I did saxophone because my dad had his old one laying around from when he was in high school. So did sax. And then I was listening to a lot. So speaking of Dave Matthews, his counterpart a lot of times, Bela Fleck and the Flecktones. You remember them?
No,
they were like they would open for Dave Matthews a lot. They were kind of like a real jazzy, but with like a banjo and like outer spacey vibe. It was real weird. It was like one of those jammy bands that would tour around in the 90s. And I got really into them and I was like, all right, I'm gonna learn banjo. And then I got a banjo and I hated it. And I took a couple lessons and they're like, all right, you're going to learn how to play, boil them cabbage down. It's like, dum 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 dum. I was like, no, wait, but I heard someone do real cool jazzy stuff with it. And they're like, well, I can't help you there.
wait, I want to do that.
Like, I don't know how they're doing that. And then, and he had an electric banjo. Bela Fleck has an electric banjo and it sounds so cool. Very corny 90s at this point, but it's still amazing. And then, then I think, and then the weed came into the picture, and I had this like cheap keyboard in my bedroom growing up, and I still have it. It's in pieces, but I started messing with it stoned, and I was like, oh my god, like I'm amazing. And then you hear it the next day, and you're not amazing, but that's why I kept it. I was like, this is the thing I thought I was amazing on. I got to keep it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, and if I get, and I'm like super ADD. So if I get bored, I can just hit a different number on it and do like a different sound. And so I could just mess with that all night. And, I'd record everything I did because I thought I was great. And then I listened to it in the morning and I was like, wait, where'd that guy go? Like the one who thought it was good. Yeah. So then keyboards and synths kind of were my thing since I was 18, I'd say.
So what's the difference between a keyboard and a synth and learning, what's the basic learning curve between the two?
So It's kind of interchangeable, but a keyboard is basically any electric thing that has keys on it. So
Yeah.
it could mean like the cheap one you get at, you know,
I
Walmart.
have one. Yeah, I have one.
Nice.
Here. Yeah.
Or like, yeah. But a synth is kind of this whole spiel where there's a bunch of knobs and stuff to like create a sound from scratch or to mess with a different sound and
Oh, and like bend the sound and
yeah, or just like just do weird things to it because it's like a lot of synthesizers, especially from back then, are just using analog ones. They're just using electricity to create these sounds like through different filters and stuff.
Mhm.
Where the newer ones, it's I don't know, it's a little different, but it uses software of some sort. But being an actual like synth nerd means like you know how to like change the sound in all these different ways and then like stack it with other stuff, and that's kind of more like the fundamentals of sound mixed with like circuitry and all this stuff and like understanding what's going on under the hood, where a keyboard can just be anything where you can get going on it.
Yeah, it's like kind of more turnkey, like
which I like the turnkey stuff, but I like these sound more like the songs I like from back in the day, so I have them.
Yeah, well, you do them justice. It's
Thank you.
so cool. I was listening, like I said, to your music, and obviously I'm hearing a lot of, I grew up right at that peak time. I mean, my age in the 80s was really like,
Pop music
10,
time.
12. Like I got a boom box for my 11th birthday, and it came with a Prince Purple Rain tape. And I remember being up in my room and just shutting the door and like that whole album, Purple Rain, like has some really dirty songs, like Darling Nikki. I grew up in a very religious home, and I just was like, this is amazing. But all of that really hit me at the right time. So listening to you has that. But then I was listening to a song, and I'm blanking on the name of it right before we started, and it had like a real 50s almost kind of.
Oh yeah, that's Walking on Air.
Walking on Air.
I just wanted to, real quick, the deal with that one was I didn't want it to sound 50s, but I wanted it to sound like, so this is nuts, but you might follow. So so in the 70s, 60s and 70s, you had like the Beatles and all this stuff. And then when you get to like 1980, there was this thing everybody did when they made their solo album after the band split, or they're just going off to, they always did a doo-wop song of some sort in 1980. I don't know, like all the Beatles for the most part. Yeah. Queen has one. Who else? Oh, so Lindsey Buckingham. I was kind of going for that. Kind of like you can tell it's just someone who wanted to make their own solo record. They get blitzed out of their mind on something. I wasn't, but then they're like, oh, I want to make a song like when I was a kid.
Yeah, it's homage.
Yeah.
It's like an homage to their upbringing.
ELO, the whole Wilburys crew probably did it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to make a song that's just this specific fucking thing.
That is so fantastic. Yeah. I love
80s, 50s.
Yeah.
2021. So I don't think my fans got it, but whatever, I wanted to do it. So a couple people did, and I was like, that was for you.
I love the level of like just the depth that you seem to really sit in this, in music in general. I feel like that's just where you naturally kind of rest, is just in a real place. Like you're paying attention, and that's cool. And you can tell that when you're listening to your music, like you can tell that this isn't for gratuitous reasons. It feels like it's very, very much who you are and attached to who you are. Does that feel true?
Yeah. Thank you. That's cool. I haven't done like an interview in like maybe since like mid-COVID, because I haven't really, because I haven't played live, and everyone else started to play live again, and I just kept tinkering away. So people probably forgot to interview me after everyone could start playing again.
Yeah.
But,
so speaking of playing live, what are plans? Do you don't have to have plans for that, but now I'm like, I so want to come see it, and I want to see like what's a YATTE show like, and
me too.
Yeah. Do you want to see that too?
Yeah, I do. So I started running into the same problem from a couple pre-COVID, where it's like, all right, all these old guys, and even some young folks, like they want to be in it. Like all my friends in town, or like that have helped on the records, like they want to be in it. I would love to make a live show. And it's like, oh, here we go with the scheduling again. It's like, oh, I can do Thursday, but I can't do Friday. Well, I can do Friday, but I can't do Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
okay, what if we did one in the fall? It's like, oh, I have a wedding to go to. I'm 35. And so it's like, I do want to do one, and I'm trying to figure out the whole way I made this project was like, what's the way to keep it as fun as possible and just keep going? And that was everyone agreeing that I work with, agrees that I'm just going to keep going. And like, I'm not going to wait around because I'm old and they're old, and I'm not going to wait for the scheduling thing. So if someone isn't available, I'm going to go to someone else who plays, and I might have to do that kind of thing to make a show, or make it like 2 people and like some DJ or like, some sample stuff, which I've been seeing, which would be so easy and so much less of like a schlep. But I don't know if it'd be giving the full experience, or I could have it change every show. It's a different amount of people. Yeah, this is something I'm thinking about lately because I do miss playing live, and people are starting to ask me if I want to play. So kind of just meditating on it. It's like, or maybe I should just try it and do something. That's probably the best move.
Yeah, maybe it's just about taking a step and letting it be what it is, and just, knowing that, like, as far as people watching and coming and, we just want to see you play. And so there's no real judgments. So maybe just let that go and have a good time.
Yeah. But then I got the other half of it, which is the Austin live music, like, adventure spiral is like, I did that for many years, and it's so fun, but like, there's like a wall there somewhere. There doesn't have to be, but it's like, do I want to like look at my like analytics and see like, oh, Mexico City is into this stuff like more than like the tri-county area of Austin. So do I wait and see how that, because now we have this at our fingertips. I'm like, am I going to do the Austin thing for another several years until you'll start playing for like $50, then 100, and then 150, and then, because I'm old, so it's like, or do I want to like see what country is digging it more and play there? And I had all these ideas, but it was right when lockdown started happening. So I might go back to that way, where it's like, okay, which actual area wants to hear it bad enough? You know what I mean? And then it's like, oh, this is easy. I'll just walk over there and play, and then come back here and make more stuff. But we would definitely, if we do that, we would practice here, which means playing live shows here. So either way, we got that.
Yeah.
I'm a mile a minute on that stuff, but I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, no, as you should be. It's helpful to talk. It's really helpful to talk about these things and like really hear, I talk to myself a lot, and it's very helpful, but even just to have a conversation with someone else and just hear yourself saying the words.
Therapy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, did I also read, are you also doing like sync deals and sync stuff, like with TikToks and all that stuff? I feel like that's a really great way, especially for stuff of yours. Like, that's a great way to get your stuff out, and a good litmus test of who's wanting it, and then also to create opportunity for it to get picked up, instead of like, it's another version of seeing like, what city's digging my sound. It's also, feeding it out through sync and seeing if you can get picked up in other ways too. Is that something that you're thinking about?
Yeah. So my sync agent is Nat Fan, who has SoundSync, and that's like a local Austin sync agency. I think she might have just landed my first placement in like a pretty cool indie film. Yeah, and so that's good. The thing you mentioned about TikTok, I'm trying like to understand it. I definitely am above the age barrier, but I think soon it's going to be like Facebook, where just everyone starts piling in from all generations, and we'll all understand it. But I look at it every now and then, but it's like, I don't know if I have, like, kids make that stuff when they get off school or on the weekend, and like, they come up with this stuff and can put all this effort into it. In the meantime, I'm still on Instagram, like just doing it how I remember to do it, like how to get out there and stuff. And I have ads running, and that's how I got most of my fans to begin with. And that's working really well. But yeah, when it comes to like TikTok, I just need to meet the person who's like 10 years younger than me that can just tell me what's going on, and then I can do it, which might end up being David, my drummer, but we'll see.
I have a 12-year-old daughter here who will help you.
All right, awesome.
No, she's not allowed to have TikTok, actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
she knows how to do it.
It's pretty wild on there sometimes.
Yeah, no, she doesn't have it, but I feel like, and I don't, and I'm getting the same, people are giving me the same advice to put clips, of my shows and
Yeah.
like sound bites and stuff. I'm like, do you understand? I put one show out a week, and just doing the Instagram and Facebook promo,
Yeah.
of like adding it to my story, making sure I tag it, and I stay really consistent about how you've seen them and like how they look and all that stuff. But like,
Looks cool.
I got stuff to do. Like, I can't imagine taking it to the next step, which I probably need to. There's so much more stuff on YouTube that I could be doing that I'm not doing. I could be taking it to TikTok. I could be doing more, but it's like, I need to hire somebody.
How the heck did I saw you had one with Johnny, like how the heck did he do it? Well, he's been doing his podcast for like what, 15 years or something?
11, I think 11 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. Something crazy balls.
He's probably has some wisdom for you somewhere, but he might even be not sure what's going on anymore.
I don't think he's,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm not even, I have a TikTok, but I don't look at it ever. So I don't know if he's on it, but he has been such a mentor to me.
Good.
Just he's been my friend for many years at this point. I love him dearly, like a brother. And so we've talked a lot about when I left my other radio show that was actually a radio show, and he
What
was
station
like,
was it?
What
Station was it?
It was on the West Coast. So I'm from
Oh,
Santa
okay.
Barbara and LA.
Oh,
And
weird.
so, yeah. And so it was,
Okay.
yeah, it was a show in that area. And so they would just pipe me through from here, and it was really easy. But then when I left there, it was like, everyone was like, are you going to do your own thing? Are you going to do your own thing? And so Johnny was, definitely someone I was on plus he's so great on the phone.
Yeah. He's like a perfect dude. I don't even know how to explain it.
I
Good
know.
guy. Good man.
I know. We have a rule when we talk on the phone that we can't hang up until someone says a dick joke.
Oh my gosh. My drummer, I have lots of drummers now, but my drummer Butch does this impression of him that's so funny.
Oh, do it.
Well, no, I don't even remember what it is, but it was based on the time we went on the show years ago. Just one of our bands, and Butch must have listened to it over and over again because he thought Johnny was so funny and just came up with this impression of him. Well, I don't even, it was
like, hey man.
Hey man. It was him talking about Rudyard's in Houston. It was this venue we played at, and he was just talking about like, I was like, it seemed like a pretty old place. He's like, dude, like I went there in the 80s and it was old then. Like, I don't know. It's out of context.
That was pretty good, actually. Yeah. That was pretty good.
I'm clipping so hard because I'm having fun. Hold on. Let me turn down that. All right. Now I can get closer to the mic.
All right.
Anyway.
Yeah, so much fun. So I forget what we were talking about, but TikTok, and doing all that stuff.
I'll figure it out eventually out of necessity, I think.
Yeah, but the bottom line is I want to see you play. I know lots of people want to see you play, so make it happen.
Yep, I'm working on it because
no pressure.
Now I can actually leave the house. That was kind of my excuse for not playing live. It's like, oh well, it'd be better to not leave the house out of public safety's sake. I'll just keep making my stuff.
Yeah.
And I made 4 albums all during the COVID era. So I was like, oh man, I'm on a roll. I should just keep going. But now I keep hearing about live shows, and everyone who I've made music with is like, all right, live shows. And I'm like, so okay, I think it's time.
Yeah, it's a bit of a transition. I remember that. I welcomed the stay at home, thing, and it was quite nice. As extroverted as I think I am, I also really quite love being an introvert and being home. Yeah, it was really nice.
That was just, it was nice to have the excuse to just forget about all the cool things that might be going on in town. Like there was none. So
yeah, it was a ghost town. It was a ghost town. Well, I think we're running out of time. That went by so fast.
What time?
That's insane. It's almost been an hour. I love it. And I could go on and on, but for people's attention spans, I think we'll
I'll come back for episode like 81 or something.
No, it's crazy how it's going by fast. Awesome. Well, I loved getting to know you and getting a glimpse. I
Likewise.
feel like there's so much more and definitely want to have you back, and worth the wait for sure. And love what you do and
Thank you.
cannot wait to see you do it live, however that looks and however that takes shape and whenever that is. I will be there. Front row in my what does someone wear? We'll end it on this note.
Okay.
What do I wear to a YATTE concert?
Usually I do just like a members only jacket. It's too hot for that, but some kind of just some vintage jacket from the 80s. Not so we're not talking like 80s goo goo like with like squiggles everywhere.
Yeah.
Just like something something classy from the 80s that has that weird cut, and like the pants go up to almost your belly button, and then the shoulders are slightly like that, like
you have that like you have that like
it's like round on top and then like that's weird. Yeah. I like it though. Yeah. Just a tucked in t-shirt with high jeans is such a cool look. You don't see much anymore for guys.
Yeah. I love to do like classic 80s silhouettes and looks from as a woman, because
the shoulder pads and stuff. Like
I don't do shoulder pads, although I do look like I have shoulder pads on. I wore this because I kind of felt, I don't know, it felt kind of 80s preppy.
Nice.
It's like a sweater vest. I really thought about this.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, doesn't it need like some kind of like polo under it or something to be?
It does, like a rugby shirt with the rubber buttons. I used to have the rubber button rugby shirts with the big stripes across. Yeah, I had parachute pants. I had my nickname was Special K from Breakin'. Remember that movie?
Breaking 1 or 2.
Well, I don't know, both of them maybe. And then
I've only seen 2, and it was at a bar, so
I think it's probably Breakin' 1, and that's probably the better one. And
yeah, usually goes that way.
Yeah. So I mean the 80s, man.
That's the whole thing. Yeah, the 80s, man.
Yeah, that's it. That should just be on your t-shirt on the back.
Yeah.
Like, I mean the 80s, man.
Yeah.
Say no more. Well, Alex, thank you for stopping by and spending time with me. It really was such a joy and pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me jabber.
I love it. You were so good. You are so good. So more in a few months. We'll have you back, and we'll check in on you. All right, that is gonna do it for this episode with Alex Chod of YATTE, the Captain. We'll see you next time.